Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar in the Scigeniq Life Sciences series. We'll be starting in 3 minutes to allow more participants to join.
Ready to make a start, Joanne? Jawad, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I can hear
Great.
you. Go ahead, Jawad.
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second webinar in the Scigeniq Life Sciences series. My name is Jawad Kamal, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Scigeniq. Really excited to have you with us today as we talk about how a modern electronic quality management system can really change or act as a change agent into Pharma 4.0, and how such change will create competitive advantages for companies. Also, we'll be discussing how to go about in implementing an electronic quality management system and what are the key features to look for in an electronic quality management system. So just to introduce the hosts, really glad to have with us today Ken Lowney, who's joining us from Boston. Ken is the Chief Marketing Officer at Scigeniq and brings over 20 years of experience designing, developing, and delivering software solutions for pharma companies. Also, we have with us Abdullah joining us from Amman. Abdullah is the Chief Product Officer at Scigeniq. Also brings over 20 years of experience in pharma quality and R&D. He's a certified auditor and QA manager by the APIC and have done and conducted more than 70 audits according to EU GMP and US FDA. Abdullah is also experienced in pharma digitization, having been on the receiving end of multiple electronic system implementation. Hi guys, I can have. So before we start, just a few housekeeping notes. The webinar will be recorded and we will send you a replay after the event. Also, we'll be sharing with you the presentation after the event. And we will be taking questions throughout, so please put your questions in the questions section on the right. And finally, there will be a quick survey at the end, so if you just take a minute to complete it, we'd really appreciate it, and that will help us improve and bring you more relevant content. So this topic, this topic is quite relevant and important to Scigeniq because we provide software and services to pharma companies and more specifically end-to-end applications in areas of quality, as well as content, as well as regulatory and manufacturing management. And specifically, more specifically to mid-size pharma companies in the Middle East, LATAM, and Southern and Eastern Europe. And through this unique combination of intimate industry knowledge and integrated applications, really our main aim and mission is to help level the playing field for our customers. And we do so by providing them with the benefits of transformational technologies so they can compete with big pharma. So, you know, leveling the playing field is pretty important for us, and we'd like to help our customers do so. So to talk more about that and how EQMS acts as a change agent, let me hand over to you, Ken.
Well, thank you very, very, very much, Jawad. It's really cool to be connected. We have people connected from really all over the world. I see people from Oman, from the UAE, from Morocco, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and I'm here in the U.S. I might be the only person from the U.S. today, Joanne. My job is to sort of set the stage here. Remember, our topic is about quality as a catalyst, using quality management systems as a catalyst. So I want to just set a little bit of the context for there, and we'll go to the next slide. I'm asking Jawad to change my slides so we don't have to change presenter on you guys. What I want to talk about is this thing called Industry 4.0, and as you'll hear, Pharma 4.0. Now, I need to tell you that I start as a skeptic about buzzwords. We have industry consultants, Gartner and the like, who create these buzzwords, Industry 4.0, Pharma 4.0, and I start as a skeptic and I try to discern what's really inside of those words. What are they trying to communicate? And what we hear about Industry 4.0 is there's so much change coming so fast with technology. And examples are on this slide of AI tools like machine learning. We're all hearing a lot about ChatGPT right now, about analytics and the datafication of everything, and the Internet of Things. Some of us have smart homes now with tons of devices, and the way those things work together in manufacturing or can work together to gather data and connect processes, that there's so much technology coming that we need to give it a name and say this is transformational. And as I said, I start as a skeptic. I hate the buzzword, but I get it. I get there is so much change coming that it adds up to something that's bigger than the sum of its parts. Now, when we look at pharma, the lexicon has come to include Pharma 4.0. And what it's meant to communicate is a new era, that there's a new era for pharma coming that's across all the elements of the pharma industry, from development of drugs to the manufacturing of drugs, the marketing of drugs, etc. And that this change is so big, it has to have a name. Now let's talk some more about this Pharma 4.0 thing on the next slide. So if we look at what's going on and we say there's a lot of change happening with technology, we can also say there's a lot of change happening with the regulatory authorities. So being in the US, of course, I am a worn down veteran of working in the FDA regulated space. So I know it very, very well. But what we're seeing across the globe is all the regulatory agencies building their capabilities with technology and upping their requirements, becoming stricter. And that creates more risk, of course. Many of those regulatory authorities are investing in their own digital platforms, creating partnership and interactive models. So that's a huge change as well. If you're a 40-year-old pharma company in the MENA area, Middle East and North Africa, these are big changes. And together with the technology, it really creates a whole new playing field, if I can use that term. Let me talk about playing fields on the next slide. I've taken a huge risk. I have such a global audience connected, and yet I'm going to go all American on you for a minute. I don't know if there's a business book I can recommend more highly than Moneyball. I realize on this graphic it doesn't say Moneyball, but you'll see it on the little ball there. Moneyball is the name of the book. Many of you, I'm sure, know it. And it's about baseball, of all things. So again, here's an American talking to an international audience, and I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about baseball. So I'm sorry to be so stereotypical, but it's a fabulous business book. And notice I said business. The Art of Winning an Unfair Game. And a very short summary of Moneyball is that 20 years ago in American baseball, there was a team, the Oakland Athletics, and they were poor. They were poor performers, but they were also monetarily poor. They couldn't afford to compete with the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox. And they needed to find a way to compete, a way to change the game. And what they did was reanalyze how to recruit players and to use different metrics for recruiting players, where it used to be that you recruited new players by going and watching them and some grizzled old guy saying, looks like he has a good arm, and instead collecting data. So read the book, it's fabulous, but the real takeaway is times of great change are times of great opportunity. And there was a great change in baseball to the datafication and the use of metrics. And that became a great opportunity for a team with the third lowest payroll to make the playoffs. So they were able to seize these changes. Let's talk about that one more time on the next slide. So when we look at this, and I think of mid and emerging market pharma companies, we today have a chance to level the field. While big pharma can invest vast millions, some cases billions, into these technologies and leverage them for competitive advantage, there's a chance of being left behind, but there's a different chance to level the playing field. And part of that is sort of a leapfrog because many companies in these mid-market and emerging market spaces still run on, I shouldn't quite say pen and paper, but I can certainly say spreadsheets, etc. And with those changes, with that starting there, they can leapfrog with off-the-shelf solutions and catch up and maybe pass the big guys, certainly catch up and become leaders in their own regions. Go ahead to the next slide, Joanne. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how to do that. If the emergence of 4.0, Pharma 4.0 presents great opportunity, the question is how to seize the opportunity. And on the next slide, I start to address that. On the left, I'm breaking down Pharma 4.0. And I'm breaking it down into 4 areas: manufacturing automation, lab automation, automation of operations, and pharma analytics. And the question is where to begin. And my argument is that the place to begin is in operations automation. Now, what do I mean by operations automation? On the next slide, you'll see I break it down further. And operations automation can be thought of having its own 4 components. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you, Joab. So here we see operations automation is about things like, and this is not meant to be exhaustive, quality management, regulatory management, clinical operations, document management, things like this, operational systems for running the business, as opposed to automating the manufacturing floor or automation of the laboratory. I'm saying that these are the areas to invest in. And my final point is to answer the question, why start here? And on the next slide, I think I have the answer. We want to start where the effort is low and the payoff is high. No one can argue that the investment in manufacturing automation will be very impactful. And that's why it's on the right-hand side. But the investment is also huge. The laboratory presents an opportunity for lower investment and lower impact on the total business, in my opinion, of course. So what do we want? We want the sweet spot where it's easier to do, it's less costly to do, but the impact is very high. And that's in the operations and analytics areas. And why is that? Because it's software, frankly. It's not physical devices. Manufacturing automation includes robots and systems. Laboratory automation includes devices, physical devices. If we can do this with software, it's a great place to start. So I'm wrapping up, and my summary is that the opportunity for companies in the mid-market is to level the playing field with big pharma, to do it by embracing Pharma 4.0 technologies, and to do it by starting with systems like quality management, regulatory management, etc. Now we do have a poll. You can see it on your screen. The poll is open for you. And the question is, tell us about your current operating systems. such as the ones I was just mentioning for quality and regulatory. And please tell me, how do you go about this? How would you describe the state of your operations? The first choice is kind of paper, spreadsheets, and shared files. The second is, no, we have purpose-specific applications for some of these functions, but they're not fully integrated. And the third choice is trying to say, no, we're Pharma 4.0, baby. We have a full suite of apps. They're fully integrated. We're doing datafication, pulling it together into dashboards, etc. And I'm interested in your answers. We'll leave that up for just another moment. And then I'll ask our producer, whose name is Barb, to go ahead. And Barb, can you share with us the results? So this is, I must be honest, exactly what I would have expected, that the majority of you are in the first state, paper, spreadsheets, and shared files. 11% of you have a few purpose-specific applications, and then 33% of you have a full suite of applications. And I'm guessing there's some of the larger companies. So this is the picture that we want to talk about as we go forward. Again, our thesis today is about using a quality management system as the catalyst to move into this new space as a good place to start. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Abdullah. And I think Barb's going to switch control of the screen to Abdullah, and he's going to take us through his component. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you in a bit.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon for those of you who are joining from different parts of the world. I can't agree more on your introduction, and also can't agree more on the results of the poll, because basically what we see in our world here, I mean, being a pharmaceutical professional in the region, that most companies now are still running on those spreadsheets and papers, and for that, as you said, we really need to have that electronic quality management system to be a catalyst of the change. So moving from Pharma 4.0, basically. Sorry. Can you still see my screen, Barb, right? And Jawad, yeah. Right.
Not the slides.
Not the slides?
Not the slides.
Okay. So for some reason, sharing is not working. Okay. Right, I think you can see it right now. Okay, Jawad?
Not yet.
Can you roll it, Jawad, from your side, please? If it's not working for some reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Jawad. So we said that, as Ken said, we want to aim for that Pharma 4.0, and we want to embrace that future. And in order to do that, we need to start with something. And we need to have that quality system for many reasons. Can you just skip to the next slide, please? Right, so the Pharma 4.0 as a definition from the ISP is basically it needs to have some digital enablers and also including elements from the ISCH Q10, which most of you as pharmaceutical professionals know about. So we need to utilize our pharmaceutical quality system, a PQS, along our product life cycle, and this is basically to go for that aim of having that Pharma 4.0, what we call also a smart factory. We need to have that quality in place to govern the whole process, because we're pharma, and that's the difference between industry and pharma. Basically, that we need to have the pharmaceutical quality system to really govern the whole process of going and having that quantum leap from a classical quality system into a system that can give faster decisions and provide inline time quality control and proceed forward. Can you just skip, Jawad, please? So again, you can see here very quickly as a definition, Pharma 4.0, as in the bottom side here, you can see data integrity by design. So once we go up to the maturity of your organization, so if you want to go and be more digital mature, then you definitely will be utilizing more technology that gives you quality by design, basically. So you get this data integrity by design as well. So if you utilize the technology, then you have more confidence of getting to that data digital maturity. Can you move on, please, Jawad? So what we want is basically to have that proactive decisions, so that the whole, you can see here, this is an example of how would a fully automated factory and how a fully automated process would look like. So this is an example of you can see here on the bottom side, you can see a manufacturing line of an oral dosage forms. This is basically having a granulator, fluid bed dryer, and mixing and compression and coating. So this is my production line. On the top, you can see here it's at the external part, where you can get some data from your market demand, from your patient, from your supplier. So the idea, as Ken said, is basically to utilize this IoT, this Internet of Things, to have all of these stations, all of these data centers connecting to each other, so that we have this fully autonomous production line that we are all dreaming of. So imagine, for example, I have a shortage in demand, in a shortage in one product, then the system would create, for example, a process order which can be then translated into my production plan. Once it's translated into my production plan, it goes into my production line. Now, these machines, as you can see here with this sign, the pink signs of IoT, and utilizing process analytical technology, PAT, basically you can have real-time analysis, and then the product will move from one stage to another based on the quality system that will be helping to govern the whole process and moving from one stage to another. So, for example, this will be in conjunction with a quality management system and an electronic batch record, where you have preset parameters and results limits to go from one step to another. Once you get to the final state, on the right side here, you can see real-time analysis and at the same time real-time release. So basically, the quality will be releasing by exception. I think most of you are also aware of this concept. So if I don't have any out of specifications, I don't have any deviations, anything, then this means that the product, once reached to the final stage, then it's going to be released. Can you move on, please, Jawad? So we talked about how mature your digital technology in your organization. Now the FDA is now introducing how is your quality management being mature as well. Can you go, Jawad? So the FDA now is introducing this QMM concept, which is basically quality management maturity, and that was driven mainly because of that the FDA found out that most drug shortages is coming because of quality issues. So if you look at this slide coming from the FDA website, it's saying that 62% of the drug shortages are coming because of quality issues. Okay, and for that they have developed this concept of QMM. Thank you, Jawad. And what it says here basically is that it's a state of the drug manufacturers having consistent, reliable, and robust business processes to achieve quality objectives. Not only that, the FDA now is looking for continual improvement, and that's the new thing here. So basically, the FDA is stressing on utilizing quality into also your continuous improvement and how mature is your quality system is. Can you just click again, Jawad? Okay, another verse here from the FDA website that say that manufacturers to achieve higher level of quality management maturity, they need to have successful integration between business and manufacturing operations with quality practices and technological advancement. So again here, the FDA is hinting that you need to utilize technological advancement in order to get into a higher ranking into your quality management maturity. Can you move to the next slide, Joel? Now, this concept is kind of huge. So there are many KPIs the FDA is talking about in order to account for your maturity level in your company. So to name but a few, you have quality metrics. This has been already asked for by the FDA. Now they also want to look at your quality culture, amongst others. They want to look how enhanced your pharmaceutical quality system is. They want to see advanced analytics. They want to see continual improvement projects, risk assessment, productivity optimization, and everything. So imagine they want to look at all of this. If you don't have digitalized data, then I think no one can move on to that step. So again, can you move, Jawad? In order to have to be ready for the future, we need a quality system that serves technology and serves compliance and the QMM expectation from the FDA. Can you click on the next slide? Okay, so let's have a look on a typical quality management system. Okay, so the quality management system basically consists of deviation handling, as you can see, CAPA, change control, complaint handling, supplier qualification and the audits, out of specification, and documentation and training management. So basically, we need all of these modules to have compliance, to be ready for the audits, audit management at the same time, to have better visibility, to make sure we don't have overdue activities, trending and analysis, efficiency and traceability. All of this, again, going into that same pyramid of going up to that quality 4.0 or pharma 4.0 analytics. Can you move on to the next slide? Okay, so the basic item here on our webinar today, that we want to see what are the main 5 features that we need to have in a modern quality management system. Okay, we talked about the technology and we talked about compliance. Now, what are the features that we need to have in a quality management system? First, we need to automate our workflows. So basically, we want to go paperless, and we will see that in a minute. We want to also see to have a system that is comprehensive quality management that includes all the quality modules that we need to be compliant. We need a system that has analytics and reporting capabilities. We need a cloud-based solution that is flexible and scalable. So, and we will talk about this also in a moment. And last but not least, of course, the validation. Now, the cloud solutions comes now pre-validated according to CFR Part 11 and GAN 5. So this is very important to minimize also the efforts of going live with these processes. Next slide, please. So first one here is to automate basically workflows. Now, what we want to do is basically we want to go paperless. This is the first step. If we don't do that, if we don't clear out papers from our desks, from our operation, we cannot go up and have a higher maturity level in digitalization in our organization. So we want to digitalize tasks, we want to digitalize forms, we want to digitalize documentation and training. This is all, of course, replacing manual signatures with electronic signatures. Jawad, I want to try here. Can you switch and give me control? I want to show the system. Let me try. Maybe now it works. Right. Can you see my screen, Jawad?
Yes, yes, we can see it now.
Okay, so it doesn't like my presentation, but likes the system. No worries. I'm fine with that. Okay, so in a cloud solution and a native cloud solution, all you need is a browser, basically from your laptop, from your tablet, from your phone, so you can log in the way that I just did. So speaking of tasks management and digitalizing the documentation, for example. Here I've logged in as an admin. You can see here, just for the sake of the demo, I can see if I have any tasks. It seems that I'm a very good person here in my organization. I'm always finishing my tasks. So, but at the same time, I can see all my documents here, the ones that I have created, the ones I have approved before. I can also look at my tasks. So if I have any document waiting for review, for approval, for receipt, acknowledgement, or for training, I have also here zero. And I can look at the same time at my SOPs that I have, or procedures that I want to have a look at. That's not the only way I can look for my documents. I can search them, and I can also look at the document structure. So this is, for example, as a demo, we have created this Mid-Size Pharma virtual company where it has 2 sites, one in Brazil and one in Portugal. So what basically you can do, you can have different structured document structures, and you can link those structures to different permissions, so that you can control the read and write, and also you can also control print management as well in such systems. So if I, for example, go to quality, I can see here my quality documentation. If I want to look for example on an SOP for training, I can just maybe search for training, and I can find my document. If I click on it, I can see the metadata pertaining to that document, who reviewed these documents, who approved these documents, if there are any attachment, any related documents, and what are the trainings that was enrolled for this document. And at the same time, I can see the data itself. So I just chose the webinar material just for an example. Okay, I can still also search for other stuff. So for example, I added the guidance for nitrosamine. Most of you from pharma know this headache. So if I want to search, for example, anything from that document, from that guideline, I would say, for example, let's say we want to search for limit, the word limit. I have to go for full text because the system can search for the metadata of the file, and I can look also inside the document. So if I search for limit, then it's showing me here the control of nitrosamine, the guideline that I just uploaded. So, and I can click on it and see it, and at the same time I can search here and see where is the limit been shown. So it shows me here highlighted where the document has been located, and for that it's much easier for any new employee to come, and even for the existing one. So if I want to search for any document, if I know only the keyword, I can locate it. I no longer need to remember the document number and all of these things. Last but not least, because that's going to be a very intensive one, let's see if I want to see the training one, training SOP. I just want to show you how the system will, if I have access to print, then I can see this functionality. I can print and I can say this is for the webinar. I need to see the reason for that, and I can generate my document here. So what the system does now is that it creates an automatic cover page with it, and it shows you the release status, who reviewed it, who approved it, and we can also add we can add headers and footers with different information coming from the system and the logo. So we can play around with it and see, and you can also see the document itself that it was approved. So enough for this. Now let's go back to the presentation. Jawad, if you can just switch control to you.
4.
Right. So the second functionality we need in a quality system is basically a comprehensive system where we have all the quality modules in one place, in one ecosystem. So imagine here, like, for example, I have my deviation, I have my complaints, for example. Usually the quality system will create investigation records and root cause analysis, CAPA actions, and it might lead up to a change control. At the same way, you can also, if you look at, for example, complaints, you can go the same path, but different records, but all of these records should be all connected to each other in a way that shows that this is the CAPA relating to the complaint, this is the action coming from a deviation, and so forth. In the same way, if we look at the audit management, for example, I can have an audit plan. From that audit plan, I can have an internal or external audit. I can also have an observation, CAPA, and action. So at the end of the day, at the end of the year, I would have massive records about CAPAs, actions. You can relate these CAPAs and actions to the parent records, and you can also analyze CAPAs standalone and see where you are, what are the CAPAs that overdue, and so forth. So it's very important to have one system that has all the modules interconnected to each other. And for that, I'm sorry again, I need to ask you, Jawad, and give me a back control so that I show you how it looks on the system. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, Abdullah.
Yep.
Barb, you've done that switch?
Yeah, he has control.
Okay, so you can see it now?
I can't. Please make sure you're showing your screen.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm logging in again. I only need a browser. And I just log into the system. So what I want to show you here also is the same thing. I've logged into my user. This is my landing page. As a quality person, I can see some statistic over all the quality records that I have on the system, which records are completed, which records are closed, and so forth. I can see my tasks. I can show you right now in a minute. The system also saying shout out to our colleagues from Brazil. Can also be Portuguese, so we can switch from English to Portuguese. Also Arabic is supported, so I'm just switching back again to English. And yes, you can see here on the left side menu, you can see your dashboards. So you can customize your own dashboards. You can see all the modules. You can see your audit management, your CAPA, your change management, complaints, deviations, out of specification, non-conformity records, supplier qualification, everything in terms of certificates, materials, supplier notification, and supplier qualification workflow. And these are usually configurable. So you can add more, like, for example, if I want to see the investigations, like here we have it. If I want to see also the investigations coming from complaints, I can also add it here. So I can look at all the deviations. For example, I can click on see all the records on the deviations on the system. I can see all the deviations. I can see the closed ones. I can see the not closed ones, and I can highlight the overdue ones. So you can see here it has already this color coding, and at the same time it blinks. I don't know if you can see it, but it blinks showing you that these are overdue tasks. This is in terms of deviation. So if I want to see, I have many records. I'm a quality person. I have many records to work on. If I want to see all my tasks, so I can click here and see all my tasks in one place. So I have here audits, I have audit plan, I have a deviation, I have a CAPA, I have audit findings, and have actions, name it, supplier qualification, assessment, certification, all of these records that I've done. If I want to see only the overdue ones, I click on overdue. If I want to see the closed one, the same manner. And not only that, you can also see it in a calendar view. So you can see all your events in a calendar view, and you can see it also per users. So just Okay. Yeah, so can hear these are the records associated to myself. Okay, so this is very quickly on how you navigate the quality system and how everything is connected to each other. Last thing I want to show you, if I just choose maybe as an example one deviation. This. Okay, yeah. This is the deviations. I was choosing to see the calendar view. If I choose this, for example, this is one deviation, and the system will tell me where is the process was going. So I have the workflow was going from open to in review, and then investigation planning, waiting for investigation. And here it says that the workflow now is waiting for the root cause analysis and kappa planning. The next steps would be the ones that are not, colored. So basically, it's waiting for kappa, pending QA manager, and the QP approval. So it was also made to meet the European standards of having a QP approval. The system will also tell me, for example, here it's telling me that I need to fill in this investigation form, and it says here that it's ticked with this mark, that it means it was done, but I can still create some optional tasks like kappa and extensions. I can look at the audit trail, I can export with different reports, you can see some tasks. So the beauty of it, as we said, you can see this deviation has subtasks like kappa, for example. So if I click on the kappa, you will see that the kappa is linked to the deviation. If I want to go back to the deviation, I can just click on that and see each one, where is it standing. This is just a very quick overview on how all the functionality of quality management modules are connected to each other. Can you switch back to Jawad, please, Barb? Okay.
So we can see the slides now.
Okay. So the next important feature is basically analytics. We discussed about it. So you need to monitor your KPIs. You need to monitor your overdue activities. You need to have better traceability. You need to have, as we just discussed, audit preparation becomes much easier to when you have an electronic system in place. Not only this, you can use these analytics to expand to have product metrics. You can have some operational excellence initiatives for you to also reduce cost in some initiatives. Can you go to the next slide, please, Yoad? Okay, some of the dashboards. I mean, you can create, once you have data, and this is why we want to digitalize. Basically, we move from paper, we digitalize, we have data. Once we have data, we can analyze. So name it. But just for a start, like for example, here I can see my change controls on the right-hand side, top right-hand side. I can see my change controls in a month, which of them were open and how much of them were closed. And as you can see, as usual, change controls always takes a lot of time, so the closure rate is much less than the opening rate. Yeah, you can see also the next slide. Okay, Jawad doesn't like that slide, but I'm fine. Can you go back, Jawad, yeah, to this, please? Okay, just stick there. So this is the deviations and kappa. We're done with this. Can you go for the next one, Jawad? Okay, so you can see also some metrics on your deviations and kappa, the number of open deviations. You can compare years as well. You can also compare the deviations coming from human error. This is a hot topic, as most of you know, and see how are you doing? Are you improving or not? What deviation has been closed within time, which is also a good thing to monitor, and also you'll be able to see the root cause analysis. I mean, whether the root cause is coming from usually from humans, machines, methods, materials. So you can trend all of that and plan for reducing it. Can you move on, Jawad, to the next slide? Okay. Number 4 is basically you need to have a system that is cloud-based, flexible, and scalable. So what we mean by that, about this, we need to have a solution that is cloud-based that you can use for different sizes. So if it's either a small or medium or large size company, you can use this. And once you expand and you go for different sites, now the implementation becomes effortless. So you don't need to do much. You can do some very tiny configurations to differentiate view rules between one site to another. And the second thing also here is that we would like to have a system that is scalable, that we can scale it to different functionalities. For example, if your quality system platform supports to have interconnectivity with your electronic batch records and LIMS, this is going to be this is also can facilitate your digitalization journey to go into your Pharma 4.0, as Ken said. Can you move on, Jawad, to the next slide? Last but not least, this is the most important one. Of course, if it's not validated, it's nothing. So this is the cloud solution comes validated, pre-validated with all the package, validation package, your validation plan, your risk assessment, traceability matrix, IQ, and all of these documentation with the chance for you to evaluate the effort of performance qualification that you need to do according to the configurations or customization that is done on the out-of-the-box features from the system. Can you move on, Jawad? Yeah, so we just showed you how the system looks, so we can skip these slides. We showed you in action. Okay, so now we will be talking very quickly on the implementation of a quality management system. So some challenges and some tips for your side. As Jawad said, I've been doing this on the other front, and I know that things can happen. So you need to define basically the scope and make sure what is the scope that you want to do for this year, for example, for this quarter, and make sure not to have that scope drifting, because sometimes we start changing in the middle and then we never go live. Okay, and at the same time, if we keep on changing, sometimes we are increasing the efforts of validation that we have to do, and we need to really manage this. The second tip I want to tell you here is basically start with the quick wins. So you can start off, for example, with document management, because it's much easier to implement. So once you have all your data or your documents scanned, or you have your electronic records of the documents ready, you can migrate it. For example, here at Scigeniq, you can migrate it for free, whatever, how many documents you have, thousands, 10,000, 15,000, whatever, you can have it migrated into the system in a few days. And the second tip is basically to go for the basics. So for example, the most frequently used quality module perhaps is going to be deviation and kappa. So you start with your deviation and kappa, and then you move with change control, and then you start with implementing the others like audits, complaints, out of specification, supplier qualification. One tip here is basically the integration. Integration is very important. Some companies would like to integrate their quality system with ERP, with other systems. This is very important, but at the same time, you need to have a separate project for that. Identify the expectation from that and work on it parallel, because otherwise the system, the workflow will not, the implementation will not move. Third thing is basically managing people. We need to have proper project management, owner and a sponsor. We need to have champions, have people with you that likes to change, because if we as people don't really work out as a team to have this project done, it will never happen. Alignment is very important, especially for those of you who wants to implement quality system in different locations. You need to have a sort of alignment, otherwise also this can make the project delayed. Last but not least, define the IT role. Because it's a cloud solution, you don't need much efforts from your IT, but at the same time, you need to have some help from them on data migration, legacy data, and data cleansing and mapping of data from one system to another. Can you move on, please, Joanne? Lastly, here's some tips for you on the selection. So speaking of speed of implementation, then you definitely want to have an out-of-the-box system. So as much as you can, have a system that is pharma ready. So people like Scigeniq here, we know the pharma, we know the needs. So you get the best practices according to the guideline. So usually you need to change very minimal stuff and you go live very quickly. Of course, you need to have the ability of configuring some items, but at the same time, make sure you get the the best out of the box features, which in terms is going to be validated, which will reduce the efforts of validation you need to do. Second thing here, we talked about native. So I'm finishing very quickly, Jawad. So we need to have a native cloud. We have user-friendly software, and we need to have an ease of speed of implementation. We need to have a flexible solution, and we talked about scalability of the solution. We need to understand the licensing model. Licensing model can be tricky, sometimes can be very costly as well. Functionality and validation, and make sure that we have interconnectivity with the ecosystem and possibility to have integration with other solutions as well. And I'm done, and I'm sorry for this technical thing. So I had to use Jawad for doing all of the presentation for me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Abdullah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I know I realize there's a question from the audience if our products are implemented in Europe, and I think this is a pretty relevant section. Yes. So we have a case study here, an practical example where our product was implemented with our partners, Labatec Pharma. So Labatec Pharma is a Swiss pharma company with operation in Switzerland and Portugal. And they were looking for a partner and a vendor that goes beyond the software, not just the software. And they put their requirements and they went along with us, especially being a young company, because of our intimate knowledge of the industry. And working very closely with Labatec and Mara, who's the head of QA and the project lead, it was a true partnership approach. We did the implementation starting with the DMS. We really built the system in a way that it's highly configurable and met all their needs. And then we started adding incremental modules one by one. So after the document, we went along with the regulatory module and then the quality module. And really, this is a long-term strategic partnership. So we will be adding modules as we go. And finally, we can conclude our webinar. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And as a parting gift, we'd like to offer you the chance to download our ebook that we put together for you. You can scan the QR code, and it explains further the 10 things to consider when buying an electronic quality system. And perhaps maybe one final reminder, if you can please just hold on, take a minute, complete the survey. We really appreciate it. It's going to help us a lot to improve and bring you more relevant content. Thank you so much for participating. Abdullah, Ken, and Barb, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. Abdullah, thank you, Jawad. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.